recording. Here we go. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back. Just had a work session and now we're convening our monthly board meeting for the Thurston Conservation District Board of Supervisors. For the record here, we are recording this and we also have full participation from all members of the board tonight. Got a couple of staff people here, executive director, Sarah, and our essential jack of all trades, a mistress of all trades, Sophia, legal counsel Ben Cushman from the Deschutes Law Group, and Jeff Gentoli from State Conservation Commission. So welcome, everybody. First thing up here is agenda review. Are there any proposed changes to the agenda that we have here before us?
I'll move approval for the agenda as presented.
All right, it's been moved by Doug. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by David. We will vote on the agenda. Doug?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Marianne?
Aye.
Betsy?
Aye.
And chair votes aye. So we've got an agenda. That takes us to the consent agenda. It's a fairly lengthy consent agenda tonight. I won't go through all of it, but with the exception of the minutes and the financial report, basically this all relates to money that's coming in or going out. That's a good summary. So we've had a chance to look at it. So we'll need a motion on the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Moved by David. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Doug. Vote on consent.
Aye.
David, Doug,
Aye.
Marianne,
Aye.
Betsy,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. So we have approved consent agenda. Takes us to public comment. There's a point at which any member of the public can address the board for up to 3 minutes on any topic that's on their mind that might also be of interest to us. I don't think we have any member of the public here with us online this evening, and we don't have anybody in the room, but I'll stop here and say, am I missing something? If not, we will close public comment without comment. Moves us to item 5, partner reports. First up here is NRCS, Lynn Clark, but Lynn is not with us tonight either. Sarah, is there anything you know of to report on behalf of NRCS?
Nothing that I didn't share last month, which is just working on those IRA proposals to get in for the Puget Sound local working group. So we'll see the outcome of that in the next couple of months to see if new funding pools are available for Puget Sound and area forestry and agroforestry and pollinator hedgerows and all of that. Lynn will be out on maternity leave also, starting I think sometime in July. So we might have a new face that's able to join us.
Okay, thank you. That takes us to item B under reports. Josh,
Hey,
welcome to your
yeah.
first meeting here.
Thank you for having me. So my name is Josh Gentoli, with the Washington State Conservation Commission. I'll just give a brief little bit about myself. I was raised over Eastern Washington in Yakima and grew up farming and had a great time doing that, and then traveled around, ended up back in Washington and got my bachelor's degree from Evergreen and went into the legislature, working for a state senator for several years, and then transitioned over to the Conservation Commission, where I coordinated the state's Office of Farmland Preservation for starting in 2008 through 2020 when I took this position as Southwest Regional Manager. And for your information, Marianne, I know y'all know what a regional manager is, but we're essentially a liaison between our agency and the CDs, and I just help out wherever I can and any issues or bring information, elevate things, whatever I could be of use for. And I attend board meetings and share any updates that we have from our agency. So happy to be here and glad to be working with y'all. It's nice to drive 5 minutes to a board meeting. That doesn't happen very often. So, and because you're new, Marianne, I'll just offer one of the things that we do as regional managers is we offer ourselves for an orientation to new supervisors. Kind of give them a history of the Conservation Commission, conservation districts, kind of just dig into some of the board stuff. I see you've already done your Open Public Meetings Act training, so that's great. You're good for 4 years on that, so thank you for doing that and being on top of that. But we have some training materials available on our webpage, but I'm also happy to do it in person, one-on-one, or with whoever wants to be a part of that.
Oh,
So
cool.
at your convenience, I'm available to do that.
Thank you.
Usually takes an hour or two, so.
Okay.
Just a couple of things to give you guys a heads up on. You'll be seeing a building survey come out. I don't know if the managers have talked about this, but one of the managers in Eastern Washington has kind of learned a little bit about Department of Enterprise Services and potentially where they might have some interest in helping with facilities. But at the same time, it's going to be more of just like a facility needs survey. And I know you guys just moved into this space, but you've also got some aspirations for another area. And so I think your guys' input in that would be useful. I think the survey will be open for a month, and then we'll share out all that information back to all y'all. So that's just a heads up, that's coming. I think you guys have been successful in sustainable farms and fields.
Mhm.
There's a current round that's gonna open June 21st through July 19th for livestock and non-livestock. And then there's also some research and development that's kind of on an ongoing right now, and they're doing polls first Monday of the month. So June 3rd will be the next, and then the following month. Something that popped up in a district recently was a First Amendment audit. I don't know if folks are familiar with that. I certainly wasn't. But Conservation District was just kind of in the middle of a board meeting, and they had some, just not a normal public person walk in, kind of all dressed in black with cameras and getting right in everybody's face, and really just kind of testing how they would respond, and videoing stuff, getting into spaces that maybe weren't appropriate, but they handled it the best they could. But it's created a bit of a issue with just making sure folks are aware of it, and kind of maybe some ideas for staff. Sarah?
I just want to tag on to that. Josh sent this out right after this incident happened, and so just to catch the board up on what we've done so far at the staff level is we have a protocol for our staff to follow that's been shared with everybody of what happens if somebody comes in like this, both to protect staff safety and also make sure that we're serving community members and not violating any rights in that process. We've also worked to determine public and employee only portions of our building and have signage in the works to denote that, so that we can make sure that public is in public spaces and staff has employee only spaces. Of course, we have records that are financial records and things like that we need to make sure that we keep private. We also, some of these could be really hard to determine whether there are real threats or whether they are these audits. I think this particular case, this person had real or fake hardware strapped to their body when they entered the building. And so it's very alarming, and that's the intent, right? Is to be alarming. They have a YouTube channel, with followers where this information is displayed. I think that individual was subsequently arrested at a school district following that incident. So, anyway, I just want the board to know that we've taken care of informing staff about this and letting them know what to do. Sophia also, and folks that are in the office and in the reception area regularly, there's a training that Endurance is putting on that we're signed up for. So at some point too, you'll see a policy amendment reflecting protocol around this and employee only spaces, just so that we have that overarching policy umbrella that's supporting the direction that I've given staff.
Just
Sorry,
quickly,
Josh.
before we go back to Josh, you used the term Endurance. Could you explain what Endurance is for Mary Ann?
Yes, wonderful. They provide our insurance. They're a risk pool insurer. and they do a lot, right, to mitigate that risk, including helping to provide certain types of counsel, doing contract review. They also provide tons of different kinds of trainings on employment-related matters, all kinds of stuff that could pose a risk and make a claim.
Right.
So we have a portal that we can access with tons of trainings and information and best practices, and they also do a lot of webinars throughout the year and in-person trainings, and I've taken several of them myself, and they're really good. They actually like they contract with some really quality speakers and consultants, and I've been really impressed.
Good.
So when you say hardware strapped to them, we talking about photograph hardware, or is it a Second Amendment issue as well?
I don't know. I just, yeah, that's what I got was unknown boxes and wires and things like that. So
Okay.
Yeah.
If you want me to take a look at any of these things when we have a policy.
we dropped it. I do, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
You mentioned,
We'll go back to you.
Yeah, so MRSC's putting on this training, like she said,
Yeah.
That's
Endurance
another-
is sponsoring a scholarship for each,
that's
That's-
for one entity, but if anybody wanted to do it, it's a $40 training on July 16th.
Yep.
Where they'll go over that.
useful research.
Because you guys are a VSP county, just a heads up that the VSP program funding guidelines were adopted at the commission meeting a couple weeks ago. They were kind of all over the place, and so they pulled them all together, but they also recognize that there's still work to be done, and so they'll continue to work on that. And also at the commission meeting, they approved the operating budget allocations for the CDs for the next fiscal year, and so each CD is getting $204,491 in their implementation grant, and Thurston will get just a little under 50 for CREP. And so, yeah, happy to answer any questions. I don't know if there's certain information you guys prefer over others, but I'm happy to make my time as useful as possible for you.
I'm the acronym Nazi tonight. Can you explain what CREP is?
Yep.
In case you don't know what CREP is.
Conservation, Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program is a federal program. It's essentially a termed riparian incentive program where the federal government will pay a landowner to keep a certain width of from a qualifying stream
Okay.
under some sort of riparian area. And they're typically, I think, 15-year contracts. And the districts play a pretty important part of that, helping in maintenance and helping landowners get kind of into the system. Won't get into the current state of CREP right now for brevity, but there's just real high level. They found some issues with some of the enrollments up in Whatcom County, which led to a statewide audit of all CREP contracts, and there's quite a few that are going to be either canceled or they're trying to find different ways to shepherd them into other programs. But we've got a program now at the commission, the Riparian Grant Program, that includes an incentive. You don't have to do the incentive, but yeah, so there's alternatives out there, but CREP's had a long history in this state, and it's kind of hit a bit of a speed bump right now,
Okay,
at full speed.
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah.
thank you.
Any other questions for Josh? Anyone? Anything else?
No, but I'd like to follow up on something Sarah said. You said you had staff guidance for what to do when people come in. I'd like to see that as applied to the board members too.
Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
other volunteers.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Because we've been through some of that kind of stuff, and I don't want to go through it again.
Point.
Okay.
Thanks,
With
Josh.
that, we're moving on to NACD and WACD. You sent some written update. Do you have anything to add to what you put in
Yeah, I
in
do.
the written update?
I do. On the NACD update on Friday, the 17th, the House Ag Committee released a farm bill text. And you can listen to what they said. I can send you the link. That was last Thursday. Unfortunately, it pretty much highlights NACD priorities, pretty much in alignment there, particularly the IRA money being in the conservation group. Unfortunately, the Senate, the House, I better read it, make sure I get it right. The House Ag Committee Ranking Member Scott doesn't want to do that. So that's the main thing that ACD would like to see done is the IRA still stay in the conservation title.
Does NACD, because another big change in the House version is a significant whacking of SNAP benefits and food assistance programs. Does NACD have any positions on those issues?
No. I can read some more of this that talks to that. Chairman Stabenow and House Ag Committee Ranking Member Scott disagree with several provisions of the House bill, including those that would restrict future updates to USDA's Thrifty Food Plan, restrict Commodity Credit Corporation spending, and remove the current requirements that IRA funding only support climate smart practices.
The House bill is not really a forward, in my opinion, not a very forward-thinking piece of legislation at this point. Certainly not what we need to transition agriculture into a more sustainable future. So to the extent anyone wants to tell anyone that matters about that, I'd be happy to talk with you about that. Edit that?
Yes.
All right. That then concludes partner reports, which brings us to a special item here, which is officially welcoming our new member, Mary Ann Tompkins. You have been officially the election's been certified by the State Conservation Commission, and you are stuck here now for the next 3 years with all of us. And we're very happy to have you. Very happy to have you.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You wanna say a few things or?
Yes, I do. So what I want to say is I've really done, my focus has been mostly on climate and trees and legacy forests and so I'm not a farmer, but I do have roots that go back for farming, and my grandparents came here in the early 1900s to this country with like their firstborn and a grapevine, but they landed in Bellevue of all places. It sounds funny because it's so developed now, but they started a farm. They raised chicken and produce, and they took it on the mosquito fleet from Bellevue to the Seattle market, which is now Pike Place Market. And they proceeded to have 9 more children. And but they sustained through the Depression, the Great Depression. And because they were able to feed themselves as a small local farm and others. During that time, farms were shipping a lot of food out, but the local farmers were there. And so anyway, I have a reverent appreciation for small local farmers and farms, and we need them. And if there was anybody on the call and they were a farmer and farmers here, thank you. Thank you for we need you. So anyway, I'm very excited to be part of the conservation district and to learn and grow with everybody and get to know everybody. So yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Yay.
Yeah.
Welcome.
And you jumped in earlier in our work session, already agreed to serve on 2 committees.
Yeah, what
so.
was that about? How did I do
The
that?
best
Yeah,
supervisor.
I must have been in a good mood.
Well, okay, thanks so much.
Yes.
One of the things we now have to do with our new member on board is we have to elect officers. It's that time of year again, so we need to have election for chair, vice chair, and auditor. So I think we'll start in at the top, I guess technically at the top, with the chair position. So we'll need
I nominate TJ Johnson.
Second.
Hi.
It's funny, I was on a call with Ryan from WACD today, and he said, have you already done your officer elections? And I said, no, those are tonight. And he says, are you gonna do it again? And I said, I have the feeling that I've done a good enough job that they're gonna want me to do it again.
Yes. Hi.
I'll accept the gracious nomination, so we'll take a vote on chair then. Betsy, you made the motion, so go ahead, you can vote first.
Aye.
And who seconded it? Was it David?
Aye.
Okay. David votes aye.
Aye.
Mary Ann, Doug, I will abstain, just because I always abstain from voting for myself, but thank you. I appreciate the trust. We now have to vote for vice chair. This is vacant now at this point because Helen was the vice chair and Helen's not here anymore. So the floor is open for nominations of vice chair.
Nominate Betsy. If she would like, I don't, does anybody want to do?
Betsy, you've been nominated. Will you accept?
I was vice chair once before, was I not?
You were before Helen.
Okay, it wasn't very hard. I accept.
Okay, we need a second then. Doug is seconded, so we're voting on Betsy for vice chair. David,
Aye.
Doug, Mary Ann,
Aye.
I'll vote aye. Betsy?
I abstain.
Betsy abstains.
Thank you, Betsy.
All right, we've got a vice chair.
I
And then
nominate David Dial for auditor,
David's been nominated for
Again.
auditor,
like 4 more years.
I second.
seconded by Mary Ann. Vote for auditor, Doug,
We should ask David if he'll accept.
I'll
No,
accept,
no, no.
yes.
Oh.
Yes, aye.
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 Aye. Betsy,
Aye.
I vote aye. And
I
David?
abstain.
David abstains.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you all. We have our officers for the coming year. That takes us to item 8. This is rates and charges. We had a public hearing last Wednesday night in this very room on rates and charges. And we did have a couple of people actually show up in person and make comment. And then we had, as you saw in the packet, we had some other comments come in. My read of the comments that we've received are everyone says yes at the current level for the 10-year term. There has been no dissenting opinions expressed to that. So we have a couple of things that we need to do to move this on to the next process, which is to wrap up our work and turn it over to the county commissioners, who will be ultimately in charge of approving rates and charges. So we have a couple of resolutions we have to look at and adopt. The first is dealing with the system itself, and then the second is an appeals process. Pull those up, and maybe Sarah, do you want to introduce anything about those?
Yeah, while Sophia's pulling that up, I'll just say that they're very similar to our existing resolutions, like I shared with you in email. So all of the same sort of policies that we've been working with during our current rates and charges tenure. They've been updated, of course, to reflect all of the new dates and things like that. The rates included in them, as you probably saw in my email, and you can tell me if this didn't make any sense, are consistent. So you'll see that some of the rate categories are at $4.99, and some are at $5. And those were just proportionate adjustments from the rate study that we did with FCS Group in 2017. So that's really an area for this board to consider if you want to continue with those proportional rates, or if you want to look at a flat $5 across the different rate types, except for designated forest land, which is at the cap that it is in statute. So
I don't recall the rationale.
why there's a
$4.99
difference?
Yeah.
Because when we
read
did
the
the
memo.
original rate study, which was a process of determining what types of services do we provide that provide a benefit to a specific space. You know, one farm receives one conservation plan. That's just one thing. No matter what the size of the farm is, it receives one plan. Versus if we want to treat acres of invasive species, there's more resources needed if we're treating more acres, right? So we recover those costs in different ways. The per parcel charge is for the one plan, and the per acre charge of 10 cents is for those things that receive more funding, depending on what they are. So based on that, we came up with what would the cost per each of these land use categories, you know, what of those land use categories take advantage of what types of services from TCD. And then all of the rates came in higher than what the statutory cap of $5 for this population size is. But they were a little bit different. And so when we adjusted them down, our board at the time decided to reflect the difference in the rates with that sort of pennies difference between them.
From a
What's the
legal
rationale?
perspective, having no difference in rates leads to a simpler formula, leading to a lower likelihood of appeals. Otherwise, someone would appeal over 1 cent. Is also a question.
And we have never had an appeal of our rates. We have had the county come back and say, hey, this parcel that doesn't get charged any other taxes because it's a special type of whatever, has this on it. Can we erase that? I think it's an error in your tax roll. And so we've said, yeah, you know, that's fine, where it doesn't legally make sense. So
What's your recommendation?
well, since you asked, no. I think it's fine if the board would like to consider a $5 per parcel rate, which would be adjusting that penny's difference. There's not a huge difference between those rates, so keeping it the same for consistency is also a good argument. I don't have a strong
Yeah.
opinion either way. I think the messaging is easier if it's all consistent, but also not changing it is easier too.
I agree with Ben's earlier comment. There's an additional comment, and that is, this is really kind of weird at $4.99. What are you trying to hide?
Yeah. And what, I mean, practically speaking, what is the total dollar difference that we would see if we raised some parcels by a penny? I mean, it's insignificant.
Yeah, and that's not even on the per acre side. All the per
Yeah.
acre rates are at 10
They're all at
cents.
10 cents,
So it's,
I say $5.
yeah, I think Ben has a good argument there, simplicity. Consistency with the past, we're probably the only ones who know what that consistency with the past is. The public just wants to know that we're all being treated the same way.
Yeah, I'm definitely $5. Does that include the forest land in, or is that state?
that's capped.
That's capped right where it is. Okay.
Yeah, that's Stacy's saying. Betsy, are you okay with making it $5 flat for every land use type?
Yes.
Would
So-
you like a motion?
Well, before we take a motion, the ordinance that we wrote up there, does it have the two in it?
Does it have
Does it
the,
have the $5 and the $4.99?
it does. so we
Okay,
can
so
change
if we have a motion, the motion needs to be to approve the resolution as amended.
Yes.
Okay, I
For-
make that motion to approve
Okay.
resolution, whatever the number
So,
is.
yeah, we'll deal with the first resolution first, then we'll talk about appeals. So your motion is to approve TCD resolution 2024-03 with the amendment that it's $5 for all land
Yes.
types.
Yeah, and I do have, when we get to the discussion part of this, I got a couple.
So that's the motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by David. Now we can talk to the motion.
Okay, under the forest land definition, it appears incomplete to me. It goes to a colon, and then there's nothing after that.
What line are you on?
I don't have a line.
2.3.
It's under the definition section.
Section 2.3, is that what you said, David?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that sounds better. Classifications of,
Okay. We'll fix
Okay, so
that.
that's just a technical grammatical change.
Mhm.
to me, it meant that something was left off there because it was a
Yeah.
semicolon.
So in section 3 of the rate schedule, didn't we decide 10 years?
Do we
Does it
still
say
have 5 years?
That's 5 years.
Okay,
Well,
so,
that was part of my amendment.
okay, so we
I'm
will
sorry,
consider
no.
that, also
Good.
an amendment
Keep it on the
that's
record.
been moved and seconded to change the duration of the term from 5 to 10 years.
I did catch.
Okay, any further discussion on this resolution?
On both resolutions, it might be my computer. It looked like the titles were all screwy. There are too many spaces and
I didn't see that.
So it's probably my computer.
Probably
then.
your computer.
Yeah, I don't really,
Yeah.
I'm looking at it on mine right now and it's.
Yeah.
It looked different on mine.
Uh-huh, okay.
All right, so we're gonna vote on the system of rates and charges now as amended with changing the dollar value to a flat $5 and changing the term from 5 years to 10 years.
Yes.
Okay.
Aye.
Doug votes aye,
I,
David votes aye,
Aye.
Marianne, aye, Betsy,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. So we've approved the system. Now let's take a look at the appeals process here. Are there any changes to what we have here from the previous version, Sarah?
No, there's no changes to the appeals
Okay,
process.
so this is exactly what we've ever had, which has never been used.
There's no lessons learned. So if there ever is a lesson learned, we'll come back.
Okay, so is there a motion on the appeals process resolution?
I think Marianne should make the motion because she's not made one before, if she
Oh.
wants to.
Well, okay, oh golly, I don't know
Well,
what
I'm
to say.
sorry, I shouldn't.
Yeah, don't do that.
Okay.
Well, she's already volunteered for 20
Wait, I'm
meetings.
I'm
an extrovert,
sorry.
introvert.
Well, you weren't here when we did the original too.
Okay, so let me listen a little bit before I
Yeah.
decide I'm gonna do.
Fair enough. So somebody else like to make a motion?
I'd love to make the motion.
All right, David. David has moved approval of resolution 2024-04, the
I
appeals
second.
process. Seconded by Betsy. We're fast tonight, gang. All right, we're voting on the appeals process.
No.
David,
I,
Betsy,
Aye.
Marianne,
Aye.
Doug, and chair votes aye. We have approved both of the resolutions. I think at this point, the board's work on rates and charges is done,
Well,
right?
As far as TCD's portion of adoption, the
Yes.
board's work is done.
Yes.
So what happens now is we submit this as part of a package to Thurston County.
Yes.
And then the commissioners will hold a similar process to this, where they'll publicize it and they'll have a public hearing. And then they will consider adopting or changing the
Okay.
proposal that we put forward. And so the next sort of process that we'll want to do is public outreach and making sure we're sharing when we get details about the county commissioners hearing.
Hmm.
And that's all part of a campaign that we have, which if you see this little symbol there on my computer, there's a
Oh.
branded campaign that ties rates and charges in the CEC development into
Okay.
a public piece. So that'll be the next phase for
And
Good.
just so you know, it's good for commission or supervisors to attend that,
Yeah.
but if a certain number attend, it reaches a quorum and we need to publicize
that's
it.
great.
Yeah, and I hope that we do that. I hope we all plan to be there.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
if everybody's there, it's
So
just a
you'll-
matter of publicizing the quorum of the.
And that
board.
will likely happen sometime September, October would be my guess, based on kind of how
Yeah.
county commission business flows.
and we haven't had to say anything. Sarah's very good at that, very agile with questions and presents
We just
our
need to
case
look-
really
look there.
well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Show
But she-
united front.
But she does note that all the supervisors are there in support of this.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, so we're on pause until the commission action heats up here, and we'll start to get into that.
We'll keep you posted.
Great.
And let us know if there's stuff we can do now besides talking to county commissioners or the other electeds around.
Absolutely. You'll get some more marketing materials and communications from our communication staff.
Okay, if we can pop back up to our agenda here. Okay, so the last thing up here before adjournment is to take a look at what we have coming up in June for work session and board meeting agenda.
Or are you looking for the other one? Yeah.
Pull
It's,
that up.
there it is.
Okay, so there we've got the work session up first there. looks very much similar to tonight. Any speculation on who the community partner presentation might be yet?
We invited Community Farmland Trust. They'd like to go in July, so we've moved them to July.
Okay.
And we're working on that one. If anybody has any particular interests in folks that might be around for that, we will. I also have been talking with WCU about a presentation. They're doing some exciting work, and I'd love for them to share.
Okay. All right, will we actually need a rates and charges update in June?
I don't think it's necessary. I can cover anything
Okay.
under my report.
Let's take that off the topic list then.
Do you want to replace it with the collective bargaining?
team.
Yeah.
No, we'll put
No,
that in
Maybe
the-
Riverbend, the Riverbend contract has been awarded and it might be good to start putting as a standing item.
That, yeah, we talked about that at the work session. Let's do that.
And I'm thinking an update on the Wade conference.
Okay.
So that could be really quick, and then the thing tomorrow and the next day,
Okay.
the WACD
So-
legislative
Yeah, we'll add-
rep thing.
Okay, so three
Wade.
things there, Riverbend Ranch, contract,
Debrief.
Wade, and WACD. Debriefs.
WACD legislative workshop. Then Riverbend. Which project update? Yeah.
Okay, so that's our tentative work session list. Let's scroll down to the board meeting here.
This is where we'll add that closed session at the end.
We'll take out officer election update.
Yep.
That's done.
I don't know, we might want to do it again, we'll see.
Change number 8 executive session to closed session and change it to collective bargaining agreement.
We can just change all of the word executive session, just a closed session. Change executive to closed, and then we'll have.
I
a
think
different
we
person
also
down the
agreed
website.
that we're updating the policy around construction change orders, right?
Mhm.
So let's add that under governance, because we'll need to take action on that next week, next month as well.
We can take annual plan update off and just add construction change order policy.
All right, so with that, we have a tentative agenda and topic list, subject to more changes as we need to make them. All right. That takes us to the last item on tonight's agenda, which is a motion to adjourn.
Emotion.
I move to adjourn.
Awesome, your very
Thought I
first
would throw it
motion.
out there.
It's been moved by Mary Ann. Need a second, seconded by David. Voting on adjournment, Mary Ann,
Hi.
David,
Hey.
Betsy,
Aye.
Doug, chair votes aye, we're adjourned. Thank you all. It's 7:11.
Adjournment
Good
is
job.
always the best
Bye,
first
Betsy.
motion to make.
Aye. I'll try to be there next month.
Bye,
then.
Betsy.
You missed some good Indian food. You really should come.
That was so good.
That was good.